Good morning. This is We Are John Galt. And this is a call to action. Earlier today, I happened to view a video in my community of people that are fighting for freedom and liberty of constitutionally protected activities, free from the oppressive and tyrannical overlords of our public servants and law enforcement. And just briefly, I cannot possibly dive into the depths of this woman's experience. It's been going on for over 18 months, and it is the most unconscionable, irredeemable behavior of law enforcement. And she's not an auditor, but she was able to create a video with some video evidence that she recorded during the encounter. And she put a narration of the history, and it's a 51-minute long video of absolute horror. Horror. It's a law-abiding citizen, a woman, who has physical disabilities that she's restrained to a wheelchair. Her mobility is greatly reduced, and she doesn't have freedom of mobility, and that she is restricted. She was a domestic violence victim of her spouse, who is a police officer, and she is in flight for her own safety, going from shelter to shelter and place to place to escape the abuse of a cop. She was traveling down the road, and she needed to make a phone call. In the state of California, you cannot even have your phone in your hand while driving. So she pulled off to the road, pulled into a parking area, sat in her car, and made a phone call because she was trying to plot her next destination of flight for her safety. And she was approached by an officer. And the unlawful activities started soon as he approached her. And she recorded it. She narrated it. She confronted her. She had knowledge of the law, having been married to a law enforcement officer, and the lawful activities just compounded and compounded. The abuse, the threats, the duress, the intimidation, the physical arrest, her being pepper sprayed, her being extracted from her vehicle where she is physically incapacitated. She fell on the ground. She got injured. They abused and abused and abused and abused unlawfully under the color of law. And I was outraged. I'm seeing this video, and I knew it took place in September of 2018, and I'm like, holy smokes, woman. But she doesn't have the financial resources to fight the police, to fight the legal system, to fight the corruption that is inherent in the system through avoidance and obfuscation and misrepresentation and lies. They protect themselves. The bureaucracy protects them from us, holding them accountable. So what I did is I took that story, and I can't retell her story better than she can present it. And it is not a 2-second soundbite. It is a long presentation. And when you hear it, you get more and more outraged. And what I want to say is stop, people. If you're emotionally convicted by this atrocity, it's not a Facebook post. It's not a YouTube comment. It's something more. We need to take this and put it in the full illumination of light of responsibility. You may have X amount of thousands of followers of YouTube of your private community, but the community itself needs to see this. The mayor, the council people, the citizens, the voters, the electorate, the chief of police, the sheriffs, all of the deputies. This should not be shut down from YouTube because of copyright claims. It should not be claimed for privacy. They should not have that protection. It needs to see the full illumination. So what I did is I created a blog post, which is a call to action and says, stop your nonsensical Twitter tweet that doesn't do anything other into your Twitter followers. You need to go into the community where this violence and unlawful, unconscionable action happened by the people you pay. Your tax dollars, when you go into these communities and you transact commercially, you're paying for this unlawful activity, and you're saying, well, it didn't happen to me. But that woman is a fellow citizen. And the mayor needs to know. And the council people know. And the people that say, you know you're from Los Angeles community when, and those little private Facebook groups need to see it. And your Instagram followers in your community need to see it. And the Twitter followers in your community need to see it. And it needs to be published on public blogs and sent to the public news. Your action can be much more magnified if you just cut and paste my comment and put it on social media. Allow social media to be a tool for our voice to be magnified, to call out the malfeasance and the corruption that happens for a fellow citizen. Because who knows when it's going to be you jammed up in those situations and you're going to be saying, where is everybody? And they're not going to be there for you because you weren't there for them. And all it takes is moving your mouse a little bit. Click, highlight, click, right mouse click, copy, go to a page, paste, go to a page, paste, go to a page, paste. It's all done for you. Make it simple. I understand that you will want to express yourself after you see what I share with you, that, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Those guys need to be brought on charges. They need to, yeah, she can't do it alone. My voice is just one voice that I want to seek justice for her. I want her to get good representation. I want her to have accountability through the FBI investigating civil rights violations of a citizen of a police department. But the comments come back is, everybody knows the LA Sheriff's Department is corrupt. Yes, it is corrupt because you won't do anything to stop the corruption. It's not about putting a bullseye on your back. It's just taking this information and saying, look at this. What are your thoughts? Look at this. What are your thoughts? If you're equally upset with what I just saw, share it. Share it. Let your neighbors see it. Let your Girl Scout community see it. Let your Boy Scouts, let your soccer club, let your Quilting Bee or your Stampin' Up group see this. So we can have our voice in an effort for redress of our officials. The ability to petition our government when they are out of control. They will continue to be out of control until we use our voice to hold them accountable for what their roles and duties and responsibilities lawfully are. And when they are unlawful, they need to be held accountable to the same laws that we're held accountable to. When we violate the law, we're criminals. When they violate the laws, they have protections. We need to strip away their protections so that they are not above the law. They are truly sovereign citizens, that they are above the law. We are not sovereign. While we may choose to believe we have sovereignty over ourselves, we do not, because the law enforcement has threats of force, threats of violence, threats of harm and coercion and duress and handcuff and abuse and kidnapping and putting you in an institution unlawfully. And they're never held account. This woman did nothing wrong. Zero. Goose egg. Absolutely nothing wrong. She was a victim to the color of law where they abused her, physically abused her, humiliated her, physically harmed her, incarcerated her unlawfully, put her at a $50,000 bond, which is gross, when she did nothing wrong. And they just kept adding charges upon charges upon charges, and they never had a first cause. They never had probable cause. They never had a first cause to even talk to her. She was unlawfully detained, unlawfully interrogated. She asserted her rights. She did nothing wrong, and she wound up being a victim of horrendous abuse. No citizen should experience the tyranny and violence upon them as a free, law-abiding, lawful, respectful citizen. So this is a prelude to me speaking and sharing about this video, and I say, watch it, read my blog, take some sort of action. And my action request is, I don't want a Facebook comment. I don't want a tweet. I don't want an Instagram, you emoting your outrage. I want to see you to take it one step further. I want you to read my blog, highlight what I said in there, and do the cut and paste and share it. And let the light shine, because in darkness, under the shield of darkness, all kind of evil can happen. But when we pierce that darkness and we put it into the full majesty and magnitude of the light of public scrutiny, we can have a hope for the change of accountability. So I was participating in another page, and somebody was talking about that police officers, their body cams, they should set up rules of conduct on how an officer should use that body cam. If they ever deactivate that body cam, it should be automatically activated whenever they step out of the car or they have a victim in the car. It should always be on when they're out of the car or they're in the presence of a victim or a suspect. Record every interaction. And if they don't, there should be a penalty. They should be docked 2 weeks or 6 months. And if they are a repeat offender, they should be removed from the force because they don't want accountability. I said, take it one step further. They're our servants. We pay them for what we believe is protect and serve, but that's not, they have no constitutional mandate to protect nor serve. Those are bumper stickers, but that's what we're led to believe. They're there to protect and serve us. But our taxpayers pay for their role inside of society. And I believe they have a role in our society. But since they are our employees, they're accountable to us that those cameras should be active with GPS tracking, and they should be connected to a cellular network, and they should be live streamed into a publicly accessible server. That you work for us, we the people. That is our content. When you're on duty, you are obligated to be transparent, and that video belongs to us. Police, you can have access to it just like we have access to it, and you can review and do all your internal investigations based upon what that is. But us, the general public, needs to see that as well. Not based upon a Freedom of Information Act request or public records request. It's obligatory. We're paying for it. It is ours. We don't need your permission to gain something which is ours. And there is no expectation of privacy when you're in those circumstances because it's happening in public. And people are saying, that will never happen, that will never happen, that will never happen. And I said, I agree, until we have our voices united and we go directly to our elected officials and we put it on a ballot and we put it to the citizens' votes and we get the unions out of the conversation, because the unions are all about protecting the thin blue line. The thin blue line is protecting themselves, not protecting us. We, the citizens, need to have accountability for our employees. And force the unions out of the conversation and say, as citizens, we demand this transparency. And step one is we want all video cams archived to a county, a state, a municipal server, accessible to all citizens and all legal, that we can see that. And yes, the police can have access for their own investigation, as can anybody can have access to that. But those are degrees of accountability that we can start to reclaim our liberties and our freedoms, to hold our elected officials accountable. But it requires our voice to be united. We Are John Galt is intended to be the catalyst to take the passivity and the impulsivity and direct it and focus it where we can experience the most beneficial change to ourselves. We need to reclaim that which we have surrendered. So I want to end this conversation. My invitation is, go and share my tweet. Share the broadcasts out on Twitter, because that link that is in the Twitter title is going to take you to the blog post, which will have the video, which will have the narrative, which will have the ability for call to action, that you can be part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem of the continued rant. It's an invitation. I have very little hope that people are going to do more anything other than express their emotional outrage on this. But I want to say, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm giving you the opportunity to stop the insanity. I apologize for stepping on Susan Powder's acronym, but stop the insanity. We have the ability to do something different in the hopes of achieving a different result. And John Galt wants to be the catalyst to do that. Somebody just posted the federal government needs to stop providing military-style equipment to the police as well. Well, that is a very true statement, but that statement alone requires action behind it, because there's a tremendous amount of incentive and motivation behind the police unions and civil forfeiture, civil asset forfeiture, and taking waste material from wars and redistributing it on the mainland. And there's a whole bunch of bureaucracy tied to that. But we, the people, have the ability to affect change on that. Making this statement alone, while it is thought-provocative and something that should be addressed, absent of people collectively coming together, seeking redress, going to petition, and using the tools and processes before us, it's just shouting in a hall. We need to direct this message. And John Galt is trying to invite people to be part of that. 1, to view it. 2, to support it. 3, to promote it. And invite other people to be part of the solution. And you may be hesitant to take some of these messages and share it in certain communities. That's fine. Then create an alias account where you can have the freedom to share this, that it doesn't come back to you because of whatever concerns you may have. Leverage the social media, leverage the tools that are available to us, to our designs, not their designs. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to put this as the introduction video to the other video, and it will be updated on the blog post. Call to action. Put up or shut up. I understand the emotional release, and we feel some kind of benefit when we vent, but I'm saying there's another step that we can do that has more impact than that vent. Ask yourself, why? No, that's very true, simply, Miss Tanya. That is true. There was a comment that said there's nothing anonymous on the internet. The only way to achieve anonymity online is to be premeditated, strategic, and calculated on how to create anonymity. Anonymity is not afforded to anyone. Anonymity is only achieved by the steps that you take to be anonymous. And not an easy task. Not an easy task. Requires knowledge, tools, resources, and strategy. Because there is no such thing as being anonymous. Because somebody will always have more information, more technologies, and more tools, which has the ability to pierce every wall that you built to achieve anonymity. Public records do exist. It's just a matter of time and resources that those public records become accessible and your identity is exposed. Just time. Just time. So, thanks for those people that listened. Thanks for the people that shared. Absolutely. Somebody just said that the group Anonymous gets pierced. Yes, absolutely. It's about information, disinformation, and misinformation. There's 3 things that we need to, there's 3 orbs of communication, and it's all tied to that strategy. But I've talked ad infinitum on how to achieve privacy. Nobody really cares because they don't want to take the steps to learn how to be private. And it's like, I have nothing to hide. It's a false statement. You have something to hide. It's just that you can't imagine how a government can oppress you. Don't cut your grass for a while and see what happens based upon your town board supervisors and what kind of levies. $50,000 fines, $120,000 fines because you didn't cut your grass for 3 months. Watch it happen. Tampa Bay, Florida. But anyway, this is my intro. Please watch the video. Fast forward through this part. I will put a timestamp in there to let people know how to get beyond the introduction. Thanks so much and have a great day.
Hello, my name is Tammy, and I am the woman in this video who was assaulted by 2 Los Angeles sheriff's deputies. I am now being called a fugitive, and I am on the run. That's why you will not see my current appearance in there. And I had to hide what I look like, number one. Number two, I just started learning this video equipment, so I did not know how to narrate all the evidence, the new additional video, the entire story. There's so much. So I had to write it all down. Apologize, but I needed to get this out. When you go through the video and see what's going on and what's happening and all the evidence I've come up with, you will understand why I needed to get this out now. Thank you. I appreciate everybody's support, and I really need the public's help. Thank you. You're not asking me questions. I pulled over so that I could be on the phone talking to somebody legally.
Right.
And you're harassing me, saying run the plate.
I'm not harassing. I'm asking my partner to run the play. That's
Right, but you're asking me for ID because I'm just sitting here.
all right. Like I said, this is an area where we get. Hi. You want to say hi to
Yeah,
the camera?
thank you.
So this is an area where we get a lot of people to come do drugs. Like I said, there's a violent person that loves to live in this area and come and harass people.
So because I pulled over instead of talking on the phone, I pulled over, knowing the law.
I didn't.
And I'm on the phone
I'm just here
talking.
to you. That's it, ma'am.
My conversation was interrupted, and I stopped to see what you wanted, and I explained I was on the phone because you can't drive and talk on the phone.
Right.
Now you want my ID because you
I didn't ask.
and you're running
I
my
just said if you
plate.
had any idea. I didn't say you have to give
And
me
you're running my plate, and I've broken no laws.
I didn't say you did.
But I explained to you that I'm a domestic violence victim on the run.
And like I said, I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay, so if I'm a domestic violence victim on the run, it means I'm trying to stay hiding. I don't need to go into any system.
I'm not trying to put you in a system, man.
But you are by asking my ID, and it goes on the
I'm
report.
just asking for your name. That's it.
You've already got it all. You ran my plates. Okay? Now, am I free to go?
Did I say that?
I'm sorry.
vehicle was
I explained to you, okay, that I pulled over to follow the law because I know that we can't talk and drive.
Okay.
That's the law here.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay.
You're being
So for
responsible
doing that, I'm being hassled.
No. What was my first conversation with you? What did I first explain to you?
What are you
started
doing
recording?
now?
Before you started recording, what did I explain to you? Very nicely. And we had a very nice conversation.
You asked me what I was doing.
The moment I asked if I can get your name, you completely flipped. And then your demeanor went from very cordial and inquisitive to hostile, and I'm here harassing you. I'm not harassing you.
No, wait.
Questions.
You omitted one thing.
What did
You
I omit?
omitted that when you asked me for ID, I said to you, I'm a domestic violence victim on the run.
And I said, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Right. I said, so I didn't want to give my ID because I'm a domestic violence victim on the run. So you omitted that fact as you just summarized this story. So instead of respecting the fact that I was following the law, had pulled over to speak on the phone,
I acknowledged
was
all of
talking
that.
on the phone, okay, with my car parked because it's the law.
A record?
So for following the law,
So meaning what? Is it expired or what's the deal? Under this? Under the state? Huh. Do you have your registration on you, ma'am?
you know what? My ex is a cop,
Okay.
and he's the one I'm running from. So, the fact that you're a sheriff, I haven't broken any laws.
Okay, so I'm asking you if you have the registration for the vehicle because we just ran it through the system and it's not coming up. So
Are you forcibly entering my car?
Now I need you to step
Are
out.
you forcibly entering? I can't. I'm in a wheelchair.
Okay. Well, then I need you to put your phone down and cooperate with me, okay?
I told you,
Can you
my
walk?
ex is I cannot walk. I have a wheelchair in the back.
How do you get out then? How do you actually?
I hop on one leg. 4 or 5 times a day, I can physically hop on one leg.
Well, I need you to hop out.
And get my
now.
wheelchair.
I need you to hop out, okay?
Get your sergeant, please.
No, I need you to hop out now.
Get your sergeant, please.
Come on out.
Don't touch me.
Come on out.
Don't touch me.
Come on out.
What are you touching me for?
Come on out.
What are you touching me for?
on out right
I
now.
can't stand up. Why are you twisting my arm?
I need you to step on out of the car, ma'am.
No.
Come on out. Come on out. I'm going to pepper spray you. Do you understand?
Why are
Come on
you
out.
pepper spraying me?
Come on out.
Why are you? Get your sergeant, please.
Come on out.
Get your sergeant.
You need to step out.
We need to call them. Why are you? I cannot stand up.
Step out or I'm going to pepper spray you. Do you understand? Thank you. Turn around. Turn around.
Why are you arresting me? Why? Oh, what are you doing? I can't. I really am in a wheelchair.
Let's get her in handcuffs. Now you're under arrest. Okay?
What am I under arrest for? What am I under arrest for? Be
around
careful,
now.
please. This arm was.
Turn around. Now you're under arrest for resisting.
Resisting what? I was following the law. I was following the law.
Stand up.
I can't.
Stand
I'm
up, I'll
serious.
get you your wheelchair, okay? Stand up. Best you can.
2, 3. Careful on the right arm.
Just lean up against the car, okay? Just like your ex, you're the president. You don't have
Address out of Port Orchard. Current 7/31/2024. Status shows clear.
SEC, I get a SAM unit to roll out. Pretty co-op and stuff. It's going to be at Lake Hughes and Castaic Road at the Popple Z parking lot. And SEC, can you show us code 6 on that, please?
the judge, Gladstone, on the first, it wasn't a mental health competency, and they even changed it. It was supposed to be pre-trial.
Let me explain. You may or may not know this. This is how it works. You know what it's sounding like to me? You gave them such a hard time that what they said is like, you know what? Let's just boot her off the mental health court. It happens a lot with clients that lawyers or judges can't control. All it takes for them to boot you out of the criminal case and start a track on the mental health court case is them just saying, you know what, I think I have a doubt as to her mental competency. It hasn't been found that you're mentally incompetent, but to get a transfer triggered, that's all they have to say. It could be the lawyer, it could be the judge.
Right, but if you got...
I don't have a huge file on here. I have a transfer order, and that's transferring you to mental health court.